It's been a wild week in the world of Marvel Snap, and the meta is the freshest it's been in some time. In fact, one might say that it's a great time to be a Marvel Snap player. In this guide, we'll be talking about 10 unique decks, all of which have been designed and determined using a variety of different data sets to ensure that you're getting the most competitive decks in Marvel Snap. Hit the like button if you'd like to support the series, and subscribe if you haven't been subscribed already, because I mean, we do this every week, and these decks are good. So let's get started. Now, Mr. Negative's been all over the place, because there's one specific deck that has been completely dominating from a play rate perspective, and it's Negative Surfer. Now, I think part of this is the excitement of like, hey, Negative's playable again, and there's a deck archetype with Surfer where it kind of works in. Ironically, the original pre-nerf Surfer actually worked better when it was a 3-0, but I digress. People are loving the new Surfer. The thing about it is it does have a 54% win rate, which is actually, it's good. You'll take 54 all day long, but it's actually lower compared to most of the other decks in this list. It's just people are so excited to play Mr. Negative again in a deck that actually works. So you're seeing lots of it right now. Of course, it benefits from the use of Magic. Magic allowing for the turn 7 will allow you to draw, well, an additional negative card, which just makes it all that more powerful, especially if you get that 05 Iron Man. It's one of the best cards in the game. Regardless of the decks of the week, this is by far the most popular, but it's not even the highest win rate, so we got a lot more to talk about. Thanos Lockdown is without question one of the absolute best decks in Marvel Snap, and there's a couple reasons for it. It's literally actually just one reason. It is because Professor X coming out on turn 4 is borderline insane. You have Psylocke that can get Professor X on turn 4. You have the Time Stone that can get Professor X on turn 4. And you might be thinking, Alex, but you're gambling. You don't have a Daredevil in there. No. But we got the baby land shark, and the baby land shark is going to make up for any whiff you might have on that Professor X location. Seriously, locking down locations is crazy, and then what, you lock down Professor X on turn 4, and then what, turn 5 you Spider-Man? Like, what's your opponent supposed to do besides nothing? They retreat is what they do. The amount of lockdown here is just incredible. The potential in this deck is fantastic. Iron Lad hits nothing but gold here. I love hitting Iron Lad with Jeff. Jeff with Iron Lad, I should say, because having that mobile 6 power is huge. I mean, Devil Dinosaur is great with the amount of kind of card draw you're generating from the Thanos and his stones. Overall, this deck feels like it has no weaknesses. It feels like it can just perform, and it even plays well against High Evolutionary because of the the Luke Cage and stuff like that. It just performs so damn well. So if you're looking to push to infinite, if you're looking to get some infinity tickets, this is one you can certainly rely on. One of the most popular decks of the current week is Classic Destroy. Straight up Classic Destroy, and you know what? I'm really here for it. I love it. And there's nothing fancy about this deck at all. It's literally a Deadpool death deck with Null, where you just generate as much value as possible. For the most part, you're going to have almost all these cards. Null's the most expensive card, but it was recently in a Spotlight Cache. It'll be back in Spotlight Caches in about a month or so. So, like, yeah, pretty much everyone's capable of playing this list. It's running a 54-55% win rate. It's just a good deck. Like, it's just a really good deck, and I love the fact that we're using Sabretooth again. Sabretooth keeps like getting cut some weeks. It comes back into the meta some weeks, right? And it's just really cool because what it allows you to do is generate more value. Like, if you destroy it early with Venom and with Carnage, naturally it just feeds into the Venom's power, and then it just feeds Death as well, right? Death and Null, because Death becomes cheaper, Null gets more powerful, and then you get to just throw it out there on turn 5. No one's playing Wave, no one's playing Sandman, and so like Sabretooth has a really cool spot right now. For a card that felt like completely irrelevant, it's making a bit of a comeback. So yeah, Classic Destroy. If you're someone who's relatively budget-oriented, lower collection level, this might be one of those decks that you can really rely on to get to infinite. What a wonderful day to be a Marvel Snap player. Cerebro 2 is in the meta, and what's crazy about Cerebro 2 is that it's actually at a 55% win rate. It's outperforming the Negative Surfer deck, which is the most popular deck in the meta, by 1% win rate. Which, I mean, it sounds like 1%, but it's still better, technically, from a win rate perspective than the most popular deck in the meta. It blows my mind, but there's two key reasons why that happened, right? The first, of course, is Spider-Ham. Spider-Ham being moved to a 2-drop makes it so that you piggy something on their, their turn 6 play gets basically destroyed, or whatever the most expensive play is, which is great because typically on turn 6 you want to do Cerebro into Mystique, and then what you have here is you have the Luke Cage, which is great against location variants. It's great against High Evolutionary. Magic is also great for location variants, extends the game to that turn 7, allows you to maybe draw that Cerebro or draw that Mystique when you need it. And you could storm the location, the Limbo, if you want to get fancy. If you got your cards, you got your combo, and you want to get rid of it, you can do that too. But you got lots of location correction, Luke Cage, Magic, and Storm. Luke Cage, of course, because like Negative Zone and stuff, it doesn't matter. And then honestly, like, it's just good cards. Like, what does your opponent do when you Spider-Ham their turn 6 play and you also have a Goose on the board? Like, everything's awful for your opponent. opponent. So this deck, surprisingly, is a good performer. It's about time that Cerebro got the tools it needed to be successful. If you're looking for an incredibly consistent deck to get to infinite or to farm infinity tickets, Sauron Shuri is definitely one of the decks that you can consider. It has a 59% win rate. It is literally one of the best decks in the game. It is so inexpensive. It has no Series 4 cards. You basically are just using Series 3 cards. You probably have the vast majority of these. And the great news is that it absolutely slaps. It's just a good deck. It's honestly just a good deck. It is not being played all that much compared to the others. It's not as flashy as the others, so the playstyle might be a little, sleep-inducing, one might say. But honestly, if you're looking to just rank and to get tickets, this deck absolutely crushes. And I just love it because it has a play pattern where if your opponent does not have an answer to your Armor Shuri Red Skull lane, when Red Skull's sitting at a 28 and you have Taskmaster in hand and Ebony Maw, you can literally play Taskmaster and Ebony Maw on turn 6 when Sauron's on the board. It's insane the amount of power that this has. The disadvantage is so many people are so used to Shuri. Well, I mean, it's been a couple months since she was completely meta, but they're used enough that they know when to retreat. So you're not gonna surprise anybody for a wild amount of cubes. You're not gonna 8 cube people. You're just gonna tick them away, right? You got to snap early and aggressive when you have an advantage. If you have Sauron, you can snap right for things like that. You want to be aggressive. You have Shuri, you have Taskmaster, you have Red Skull. You want to snap early, and then that's how you win those battles of attrition. But ultimately, Sauron Shuri, a very inexpensive, budget-friendly deck that absolutely slaps in Marvel Snap. Collector Discard. Listen, Discard's one of my absolute favorite archetypes in Marvel Snap. Everyone knows this. I love Discard. And now we have a deck that's using both Gambit, the newly buffed Gambit, and the newly buffed Nakia. And what's amazing about this is it actually works really well because you're buffing up these swarms. The swarms buff up the Collector. You got the Hell Cow for in the event that MODOK gets piggied. And ultimately, you just got yourself a good deck. And what's crazy is the nerf to Spider-Ham gives a little more breathing room to Discard because it needed it. When that Apocalypse got hit with that Spider-Ham, it felt awful. But now Spider-Ham's a little less prevalent. But if you see Cerebro 2, be very afraid of its potential. But at a 56% win rate, Discard, while being very RNG-centric, honestly is performing. And it comes down to having 2/2 drops that can be extremely high performers. One in the Collector, and don't sleep on Morbius. Morbius is an incredible 2-drop, if not probably the most vertical 2-drop in Marvel Snap, now that Hitmonkey got nerfed, right? So there's a lot to love about this deck. I still personally do not prefer Hell Cow in the deck, but this is statistically the highest win rate version of Discard currently. Bolt and Stature is by far the most disrespected deck in Marvel Snap, and it doesn't even come close. This deck has a 59% win rate. It nearly gets rounded to 60%, seriously. And it's wild how good this deck is still, and people just don't care. You realize that against Negative, Mr. Negative, which is so popular right now, you discard a negative card on turn 5. If they play negative on turn 3 or 4, you're blowing up their negative stuff. You're making them play suboptimally in Conquest, for instance, because they're going to be scared of your Black Bolt. This deck is so good in the current meta, and no one's playing it. So if you're listening to this video right now, right, hit the like button. But also, play this damn deck, because the deck is so good. It's so good right now, and no one's playing it. And the amazing thing about it, because again, it's about Mr. Negative, right? You want to counter Mr. Negative. Well, Rock Slide stuffs the deck with garbage, right? Prevents the draw. Korg stuffs their deck with garbage, prevents the draw. It's just too damn easy to discard something that they need. You just generate so much value. It's such a good deck right now in the meta. It's a damn shame more people aren't playing it, and I hope that changes with this video. The good old tried, tested, and true Sera control. I almost cut this deck from the video this week. Not because it's not amazing, but because I literally include it every single damn week because it's that consistent, it's that good, it's been a part of the meta since basically forever, and it still is just exactly that. Now I was going to show another deck here, but realistically we're going into the Infinity Conquest week here. People are trying to farm their Infinity tickets, they're trying to get to Infinite for the rewards, and so if you want a good old classic reliable deck that still absolutely slaps, then yes, Sera Control does it. You're never going to be in a game that feels bad. You're never going to be in a game that you don't have an answer. You're never going to have a game where you're just I don't know what to do. I can't win. You always have an option. You always have a chance to win. You have the tech, you have the power, you have everything you need in this deck. And that's one of the reasons why it runs at 57% win rate after all this time. This week we've got 2 hidden gems, and the first, I can't even believe it's hidden. It's Rocks and Damn Hawks. How is it not being played? It's literally completely out of the meta almost, which is wild to me because it's running a 60% win rate. And why is that, Alex? I mean, is it the newly buffed Nick Fury? Is it really that good? No, it's not Nick Fury. He's fine. What it is, it's the negative. It's the negative meta right now. And what does negative hate? It hates the damn rocks. Imagine being a negative player and drawing a rock. That is huge sad. It's not what you want. You don't want to draw this crap. And so negative players are being hating playing against Rocks and Hawks, but no one's playing Rocks and Hawks. So if you're listening to this video, maybe you consider some Rocks and Hawks. Plus, you get to play some Nick Fury, which I absolutely love. And you telling me that you don't love playing yourself some Devil Dinosaur? Come on now, play some Rocks and Hawks. The next deck we're talking about this week is my deck, actually. Can you believe it? My Legion T7 Slam deck has a 57% win rate, is one of the highest cube rate and win rate decks in Marvel Snap that plays Legion, the brand new card that was dropped this past week. And listen, there's not many Legion believers out there. There wasn't. I was one of the only ones that really believed in Legion, and this deck absolutely slaps. Basically, the idea behind it, its win rate is fantastic because you have so many options with Kang. It actually makes perfect sense with Kang. It's a great Kang deck. It's the first deck that really feels like Kang makes a huge difference in, because the play pattern goes as follows. You play Magic, you get Limbo. You basically get your Legion, you spread the Limbo across 3 lanes, so they can't storm it, they can't Rhino it, they can't Scarlet Witch it, they just can't get rid of it, okay? There's 3 versions of it. That allows you to confidently skip turn 6. You have your She-Hulk, which is going to be 0 cost on turn 7, and your Infinite you can drop as well. And if you've Moon Girled your She-Hulk, you can drop 2 She-Hulks and an Infinite. Absolutely insane turn 7 power. That's the premise of the deck. So, why is Kang so damn good, Alex? It's good because it doesn't always work out that way. You might have dropped your Magic but never pulled your Legion, so therefore you're in a situation where, you know, they snap on you on turn 6, and you're like, is my Limbo safe, or are they going to, I don't know, storm it? So you're able to use Kang to find out if you can skip turn 6. That's the whole idea, because if they storm it, then you can't skip turn 6. But if you see that they don't have storm, you can then confidently skip turn 6. Your Limbo remains, and then you drop the power bomb that is the She-Hulk and Infinite. I absolutely love this deck, and I hope it helps you get the Infinity tickets that you deserve. Thanks for watching, guys. Smash the like button if you haven't smashed already. It really makes a huge difference for the algorithm. I really appreciate it. There's another video for you down below. It's a lot of fun. Check it out, and we'll see you in that next Marvel Snap video.